Okay, so this is a function test number 2 for this boat. This is just like a patrol boat slash work boat that I built. I moulded this on the hull of the other yellow model that I built. So this one has been a work in progress for well over a year. It had a function test a couple of days ago, but it turns out I had a couple of small leaks. I don't know if the camera will show from there. You can see where the top of the battery is. There's a heap of fiberglass resin on the hull where the prop shaft goes through, and I actually had a few cracks in it because I had some vibration issues with previous running gear. So this is actually the second motor that I've now fitted to this boat, and it's got a 4mm diameter copper, I should say brass prop shaft. I'll keep the shadows out of the way. That's my head torch doing that. So we have speed controller, a new motor, a couple of cheap little couplers that I bought out of China. Took a couple of months for them to show up, and that was the final touch. I've been waiting for them for a couple of months. So anyway, let's cut to the chase here. Set that camera back up. So, being the middle of winter in Tasmania, I am not venturing outdoors to play with model boats, so this is just a test in the bath, just to test functionality, make sure it's reliable, so by the time I get it out on the water next summer, everything should be ready to go and I shouldn't have any problems. Switch everything on. There we go. It takes a couple of seconds for it to connect with the transmitter. So the transmitter right here. Everything seems to be working. Throttles, and then we have introduce a little bit of power. Right about there. I still have some slight vibration issues, but I think it's the prop shaft because it's a solid brass shaft. There is the slightest little bit of play between the prop shaft and the casing that it sits in. But it does what it's supposed to do. I just can't throttle it up in the bathtub because it just makes for a very violent whirlpool. I have to be very careful I don't give it too much throttle. Just leave the controller sitting there. The helm doesn't like to respond while it's in the bath because there's too much of a whirlpool, but it does what it's supposed to do. And that's barely got the throttle open. Standing upright like that, it's just at idle speed basically. But I can't go any higher throttle than that in the bath. I'll just change the camera view. I get a bit better view.
So the problem I had with the first water test was this area here, where the propeller shaft goes down through the hole. It was leaking. There was a big crack in the fiberglass resin across here. So I lifted up the Velcro that holds the battery down, laid some glue, not even fiberglass resin, I just laid some glue, put some fiberglass matting over it both sides, and right now we will see if it leaks. So far so good. I don't see any water coming through. I started seeing water down here in this corner under the battery, and there was also a tiny little bit. Oh yeah, we've still got a bit of a leak. I think that might be coming up through the prop shaft, to be honest. That seems to be where it's coming from. So yeah, I can just see a little bit of water glistening in there. So, but I suspect that might be the prop shaft. Don't know, but I'm not overly concerned about that. The only issue I've got with that is this wiring for the speed controller just needs to be propped up on the side. I can do that at any time, so it's out of the way, so there's no electronics on the hull of the boat on the floor, so it doesn't matter if it gets a bit of water in there, it's not going to touch anything. And so far so good. Tiny little bit of water coming in through the prop shaft, I think. Yeah, not much. Just enough to get it wet.
Yeah, so I suspect that's coming in through the propeller shaft. I think I got the other leak under the battery. I think I solved that one. As long as that stays dry. There's certainly no water coming in. I've just got a cross member here to stabilise the prop shaft where it goes through the hole. Everything behind that is dry, which is good. There's a little bit of water creeping in from the front. So yeah, a little bit of water creeping in there, not much. I'd like to see no water coming in, but it can't really be avoided because the prop shaft, the inside end of the prop shaft is below the water line. So the only way I can stop that problem is to get one of those flexi cable prop shafts and fit it in such a way that the coils flow to the outside of the boat, so that way when the prop shaft is spinning it actually acts as an auger and it forces the water out. It won't let water come up the prop shaft into the boat. I had a similar issue with the other yellow model boat. That one has a flexi cable prop shaft, and if you run the cable the wrong direction, it actually sucks water up into the boat like an auger. So I've simply reversed the polarity on the motor so everything spins the opposite direction and no water comes into that boat. Okay, that's not really a problem. It's never going to be perfect. So the only way I could fix that is if I got a slightly longer prop shaft. So that way the internal exit of the prop shaft is higher than the water line. But it basically sits where it should as far as the external water line goes. If I run the boat for 10 or 15 minutes and I get a little bit of water inside, I'm not that fast. I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up. You can see there's the slightest little bit of water. What I want to do is take this camera out of the holder. Try not to drop my phone in the water. If you bring the camera right in here, you can just see a little bit of water sitting around the prop shaft. There you go. So that's our point of entry. Everything else is okay. That's the dried glue marks. That was a previous entry point for water cooling, so that's just dried glue and paint, that's not moisture. I've got two trim tabs on the outside of the hole bolted through there. And there's no leaks there, which is good. So the only water ingress is through that little bit of the prop shaft right there. I'm not too fast, that's the only problem I've got. Everything else is, all the electronics, the servo sits up off the hull. On the blocks, the battery is off the hull, the motor is off the hull, and the speed controller is off the hull. It sits on a bit of foam, and it's also sitting on a raised bit of wood. It's been fiberglassed in, so nothing can be affected by water ingress. Alright, function test 2. So far so good.